What about the big box stores? Well, how do they kind of play into this e-commerce world? Well, they have all these assets that are very heavy, that are diminishing in value in some sense. Well, how do they turn that into something that does generate a value? Well, they're using that as they already have existing presence in the local area, so they're turning that into a fulfillment avenue. So Amazon by Whole Foods, as you know, they offer 2-hour grocery delivery service within certain metropolitan areas. They also set up pickup lockers so that you can order stuff online and go pick it up right there within hours of ordering. Target would be another example. They found recent success in what they call a pickup, drive up, or ship at home type, but really using their store as a fulfillment avenue also. So picking orders in store and then getting it to the customers within hours, really giving that omni-channel option for the customers in terms of what's convenient for them to get their products. But what about the customers or stores that don't really have that web capability? Well, there's advancement of technology out there that allowed or created this platform where they allowed certain retailers to put their products online. So example of a Drizzly, they're a platform that allows all your alcoholic beverage stores to put their products online, and then they'll take the order, fulfill it themselves, and deliver it to the customers. So depending on how you walked in here today, you might have passed by Shops on or Hops on 27 or another liquor store at the corner of the 6th Avenue here. But yeah, you can find them on Drizzly right now, and you can order it from them. So distribution centers. What if how do we reinvent that as well? How do we get closer to the customers in the bigger footprint format? Well, you no longer play in the same type of square footage, obviously. So there was a need to go maybe multi-story. What's been typical in most Asian markets, because the space has been a very premium there. But we've seen the first one break ground in Seattle recently. It's been announced that there's going to be 2 in the New York area, particularly this one here in the Bronx that's designed to serve as same-day delivery for the Metro New York area. So I think that's going to be up and running by 2021, I believe. So yeah, even the real estate distribution centers, it's really getting creative, shrinking the footprint, get closer to the customers, and then this is one of the avenues. But what about even the smaller players? Well, we have companies like Darkstore that really created a platform that connected people with vacant space to people that need the space, maybe for a short period of amount of time. So really a flexible solution. But I believe they've partnered up with Uber Rush to launch in one of the markets, really doing that fulfillment right out of the city center, really close to the customers. So again, it's how do we get that product quickly out to the customers. Common Sense Robotics is here today, so I won't say too much about it. I'll plug to say, even the technology players are getting into it. All about creating a very highly automated warehouses, dense storage, shrinking that footprint, again, being positioned closer to the demand, to the cities, and being able to fulfill that quickly so that the customers can have their product in their hand within hours. And the real estate companies are not being left behind. They're also trying to get in the game and trying to reinvent themselves. I'm sure you've heard of related companies buying Quiet Logistics, really around the Hudson Yards. Not only are they offering the square footage to the tenants, it's really offering that distribution and fulfillment capability along with it as well. Another concept that has emerged recently is the Shop Fulfill, and Shlomo is here in the audience. You can find him later, who's really driving force behind this concept. And it's really interesting. It's the repurposing that 4-wall and creating a cohabitant of the retail and the fulfillment themselves as well. So in the front, you have the space for stores, retailers to set up their stores, and also digitally native brands perhaps to set up small footprint in the marketplace where all the retail traffic is happening. And for the customers to come in here, it really gives them the omni-channel experience. Number one, they can come in, look at stuff, and then buy it and carry them out. 2, they can place an order online to have it delivered home, or they can go home and order it afterwards. Or they can also ask all the orders to be consolidated across all the different brands that are within the mall. And when they're leaving the mall, they can go through a drive-through area perhaps and pick up all the orders all together. So for the convenience that it offers the customer, it can be a really intriguing idea. So we talked about fulfillment, space, can't forget about the last mile delivery. So today, there's a lot of advancement in technology, obviously, as we said. And these companies have created various platforms that allows you to connect to different type of modes or methods of transportation. So, ordering from or these offices, businesses, or retailers, or private sellers, they can go and access these platforms or avenues where they can look at, okay, what's the best method of fulfilling or delivering my product? It can still be your typical parcel carriers like DHL, FedEx, UPS, but we're also seeing emerging companies in the market such as Deliv and Hitch that's using the crowdsourcing based drivers to get that delivery out there quickly. Also, companies that are doing the final mile delivery but also adding a little bit of added service, if you will. Instacart, they'll actually go and pick the order for you from the store and then deliver it to you. Doorman, they'll receive the online order on your behalf so that they can deliver it to you at a time that you prefer, so that you don't have to worry about missing your shipment or theft even. We're also seeing some development in the area of robotics. How do we automate the last mile delivery? We saw a little bit of that drone picture with Amazon earlier, but specifically with Kiwi, Adrian will talk a little bit more about them right now.
Yeah, so with Kiwi, I mean, automating that last mile is extremely important and that's why there's a lot of activity in this space. How do we automate that last mile delivery? Obviously very, very challenging. Kiwi kind of has a coordinated fleet of robots. They're doing a pilot in Berkeley. You can see here the restaurant robot. That would be the shuttle service to and from the restaurant or the retailer out to the street. Then the Kiwi Trike would take over. That product would be loaded onto the Kiwi Trike to kind of do the main kind of transportation down the main street. And then from there you have the final delivery robot make that final last mile delivery. So kind of a coordinated approach with different robotics. It's just being piloted in Berkeley. A lot of investment taking place in this space right now as well. So just in conclusion, I mean, I think, the general theme here is that it is a changing fulfillment model, moving more to a metro orientation. That is needed because of the heightened delivery expectations. And this is really creating a whole new ecosystem of different companies and different solutions. We work for DHL, and a lot of the solutions that you saw here, they weren't necessarily invented by DHL, but I think kind of providing these future solutions based on what the customers expect and demand, it's really going to be a mix of different companies working together to provide these solutions. So it's an extremely exciting time for us as logisticians and for us as a 3PL. And with that, if we have any time, we'll take a few questions.
We could take 2 questions. We're a little behind. Anyone have a question for DHL?
Yes.
Hello, I'm new to this, so I just have a quick question. If you could give me 3 or 4 conditions that you use to build a fulfillment center, like do you look at real estate costs, unemployment in the area, a young population for workers? If you could just give me some idea, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, so 3 or 4 conditions that we kind of look at to decide where to build a fulfillment center. A lot of our operations in the U.S. are dedicated operations, and they are designed for a specific customer in mind. But when we are looking at markets, we will be looking at, first of all, transportation infrastructure, right? Our DHL Express Hub is right by the Lincoln Tunnel. It's in Manhattan, but it's right by the Lincoln Tunnel. So transportation infrastructure, very, very important. Yes, the real estate costs in that particular area, but then also access to labor, right? So it's one thing when unemployment was a lot higher, that we could locate further out from city centers, and we'd have favorable real estate. But now, as your distribution centers have more activity in them because of e-fulfillment, you need to be closer to the customers, and you also need to be able to attract labor into them as well, right? So those are just some of the conditions.
Okay, one quick question.
Okay, this may not be quick, but I was at a really fascinating presentation recently where the head of innovation at Avis was saying that they're using their fleet now not just as typical rental, but also to do deliveries and such. Do you see them as competitors or potential partners?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's such a blurred line between who is a competitor and who is a potential partner. But I could see them as a potential partner in a scenario where, hey, we're running a fulfillment center and we need to provide last mile deliveries and we need access to a crowdsourced fleet and we need to equip people with vehicles and assets to do that. And yeah, as you said, it was Avis, right? Avis is going to supply those vehicles to potential crowdsourced drivers. So, in that scenario, I would see them as a potential partner. So it's pretty blurred lines these days between who's a traditional competitor and a potential partner.
Well, thank you, Adrian, Justin, for the presentation. That was great. Thanks. Appreciate it. And up next, we have Gordon from JD.com. Gordon? You're good.